Chris. What's going on this Thursday? I mean Wednesday.
When don't get too far ahead of yourself, Scott. How's my voice, everybody? Let's do one more sound check. Make sure that you can hear me. I know you can see my screen. Thank you. I appreciate it. So welcome, guys. It's Wednesday. It's our Q&A session. Let me get a sound check from Chris. It's
Do I
Chris
sound
Barley.
all right? Test, test.
How are you, buddy? So it's good to have Chris with us. He's one of our newer team members. He's been with us for a few months. How long have you been here, Chris?
Beginning of September, I started.
So more than a few months, but you know, when Chris started here, he really hit the ground running. He came into us as an expert. He really knew trade ideas like the back of his hand. So we're really happy to have him as one of our teammates here. And you guys, if you ever send us either a chat or an email to info, there's a good chance that Chris might be on the other end of that message. So glad you're here, Chris. It's Wednesday, guys. Welcome. It's hump day, one of my favorite days because it's all downhill from here. So this is our April 7th Q&A webinar. Let's keep it interactive. I've got a few things to talk about, but it's really going to be driven by your questions that you're going to go ahead and ask in the chat panel there. So Chris and Barry will be looking at that and answering anything they can via text, but if it's something you want demonstrated, maybe save that for a little bit later in the presentation, and I can get to that through a little bit more interactive display here. So let's just get right into it. Let's get rid of our disclaimer here and let you guys know that we are a technology company. We create incredible software. We are not a registered investment advisor. We do not carry series licenses that are mandated by the different organizations out there that are required when you're giving financial advice. We don't have any idea what kind of capital you have, what kind of risk tolerance you have. So anything I'm going to be talking about today, please construe that as educational advice and not investment advice. I'm just going to go ahead and we'll hit this at the end. I'm going to kind of get right into the software here and start talking about some things. You know, we've been doing this for about 18 years, so there's absolutely no way that I could show you everything we've got here in an hour-long webinar. But I'm going to hit some highlights, and Scott did steal my thunder right off the bat because we did just release, I think it was yesterday, last night, a new beta. That beta does have integration with E-Trade through our Brokerage Plus module. I'll demonstrate a little bit of that to you today. So let me just show you how you get there, guys. Go to our website, www.trade-ideas.com. Go to the download software link up at the top. Scroll down, don't hit that first button. That's our major release right here. But if you scroll down to our beta, download that. There are so many things that we put in to this version 0.219. The last major release was 0.182. So you're going to get a little bit of understanding of all of the different features and bug fixes and different functionality that went into this particular release. And just to highlight, it's really that E-Trade broker client is one of the highlights of it, but there's just a ton of stuff in it. So I recommend that you guys download it and give it a shot. So I'm going to just start off, and I'm going to kind of simplify my desktop here a little bit. Let's go ahead and close all these windows. And I just want to start off from our toolbar here, and I want to start off with our alert window. It's something that kind of gets overlooked. And I'm going to go through the channel bar and some of the other features, but I just want to kind of get right to the basics here. This alert configuration window has some pre-configured strategies in it. And you can just kind of expand these different sections here to see exactly what we have. And if you find one you like, you can just select it. Gives you a little bit of detail as to the alerts that are in it, the filters that are in it, how they're set up. Right here on this summary, you can go ahead and load it. When you load that, it now is essentially brought all these configurations into the window. Now I can go ahead and I can look and see by hide unused, I can see what filters are in the software here. I can see what alerts are set up for this particular strategy. I can go to that summary tab and get a nice, concise view of exactly how it's set up. When you do something like that, you're going to get this window and you hit OK. And this window here is an event-driven window. It's our alert window. It's our flagship notification window. And you can really, it's like a piece of clay. You can turn this into anything that you want. And this right here is going to be giving me real-time notifications of stocks that happen to be up 5 days in a row. It's just one of thousands, if not millions, of different examples that you can set up inside of your windows. each window, while it's in real time right here, you can go ahead and run back and do a history. This way you can see exactly what symbols would have appeared had you been looking at this in real time, and then you can scroll back and take a look. And all this good stuff here can be brought into a chart as well. And so you can go ahead and open up a chart. Let's make sure the chart is linked by selecting the symbol linking. So now anytime I click on a symbol here in a trade ideas alert window, it's going to go ahead and update my chart. And that's kind of how it works together. All of the different windows, whether it's an alert window, top list, multi-strategy, they're all meant to work together. And I'll turn this into a layout in a little bit. But before I do that, let me go ahead and do the same thing here for a top list window. So you get the same pre-configured, well, they're different pre-configured strategies, but this is your pre-configured strategies tab. So what I want to do is let's go into maybe something like the volume here. And one of my favorite filters in the software is the relative volume filter. So this is a good window to do an example here. So let's load that and then just hit OK. So now what I have is a ranked list of stocks based upon their relative volume. What kind of volume are they doing right now compared to normal? This cuts off at the end of the day. So you can see here that this particular stock was doing 548 times its normal volume. So all of these stocks really are just trading so much more volume than normal that they're in play. They might be positive, they might be up for the day, they might be down for the day. You can see I have both of them in this window right here. A little trick, a little functionality that most people aren't aware of is our cylinder score. So I right click, go into properties and select our cylinder score. Now I have to tell it what I want it to look for. I'm going to right click on this cylinder score right here, and I'm going to say I want it to analyze the components of this window, all the symbols in this window based upon its change from the close, whether it's up or down for the day. So now I'm looking at all these stocks that have tremendous volume, and I look at the cylinder score and it looks like it's 50-50, 51-49, half and half. Half are up for the day, half are down for the day. So this right here is telling me that it's a real mixed market just based on the volume leaders for the day, and not volume from the number of shares that they've traded, but the number of shares that they've traded compared to normal. So it's another interesting way to look at the market. And we've got these pre-configured, these top lists set up with this score functionality on a lot of our different channels. So when you see something like this down at the bottom, if you right click on it, you can see the different value that we're sorting this on or that we're analyzing this on. Change from the close happens to be a good one because it gives you a nice break as to whether the stocks are up or down for the day. If I brought in another column here, that would be available inside of this dropdown. So another one that I want to show you, so that's our alert window, our top list, kind of going through our flagship windows here. The other one is a multi-strategy. When you load this from the toolbar, it comes in blank. It's waiting for you to do something to add some strategy. So what I'll do here is I'm going to go ahead and just load one from the cloud. And it's called my climactic movers right here. So let me load that. And this is a little example of a multi-strategy window that I set up. And if you guys want any of these, you can shoot us a message, info@trade-ideas.com, or I can always drop it in the chat right here. But when you right click on this window, go over strategies, you can see a variety of different strategies all bundled into this window. Essentially, these are alert windows kind of compiled into the same real estate container, if you will. You also have these check boxes next to the different strategies, and that means that those particular strategies are enabled. So if I wanted to add a couple more, I could just add those here. They're already in the window, they're just not turned on, and so that's how you would turn it on. If you wanted to see how any of these are configured, you can just go into the configure area and take a look. What alerts are set up, what filters are used to generate this particular strategy. This is a great one. This is a climactic window. This is looking for stocks that are moving 3 bars in one direction and then possibly reversing or continuing up, depending upon which particular strategy you happen to be looking at. So in real time, it is after hours, you're not going to get a lot of data here, but if you wanted to look at what happened during the market hours, you can just go to time frame right here. I could set this right here for the market close, which West Coast time is 1 p.m., and then we can just go back. So now it's running a history. Just like I said earlier, had I been watching this in real time, these are the different strategies and symbols that would have triggered. and it's loading right now. It's giving you that indication that it's loading. Doing a history in a multi-strategy window is not quite as effective as doing it inside of an alert window where you can really drill down into it. We're really only bringing 1,000 events in here, and so when you have multiple strategies, you're really cutting down the depth and breadth of your history in each particular strategy. But if you wanted to do it on its own, let me show you how you would do that. Let's say we wanted to take this climactic down move. I would just open up my alert window, and now essentially I've just pulled it out of there. I mean, it's still in my multi-strategy, but I've just essentially brought in the alert window, and now I can do the history, and I could do it for today, and I'm gonna get a little bit more detail with that. I'm gonna be able to pull 1,000 events just from this particular strategy rather than all the strategies combined here. So that's the climactic down and how you would pull it out. And really look at it. Again, you could look at it here and you can make adjustments here in the single window, or you could drill right into this particular multi-strategy and make adjustments right here inside of the window. So once you know how to use one component of the software, using the other components are pretty intuitive. So let's do this now. Let's go ahead and bring in a channel bar. And I'll load up my custom channel. Within our channel bar, we've developed numerous pre-configured workspaces and strategies, for you to peruse through right here. But we also have the ability to set up to 5 different custom channels. That means that those custom channels can be a full workspace. It could be one window. It could be a couple different windows. Really, however, anything you can save to the cloud, you can drop in here in a custom channel, and you can create your own image, or you can use one of our predefined images for that. And then everything below the fold right here are channels that we've created, that the team at Trade Ideas, using their expertise and understanding of the way the alerts and filters work, we've put together, all of these different channels. And a channel, it's like a remote control for your TV. You're sitting there controlling what kind of information you want to be exposed to. Right here, we're looking at the Alpha Predator channel. And if you don't know what the Alpha Predator channel does, you can just go to our channel descriptions. It'll go ahead and launch a web page, and then you can just find exactly what channel it was that you were looking at. You can read it. This channel, like the cheetah displayed, is for fast movers, and you can just kind of get an understanding of what we've done to that. So let me go ahead and close that. I really like the Alpha Predator channel because what it's doing is it's looking for stocks that are really on the move no matter what's happening in the market today. And there's always something going on. The market could be down, a bunch, but there's always something that's moving upward, and there's always something that's, breaking the trend right there. And so that's what you would find here in the Alpha Predator channel. These channels right here are our artificial intelligence. We've got Holly Grail, Holly 2.0, and Holly Neo, or Neo AI rather. They all kind of look at different strategies, but essentially they're using our back testing and our optimization tools to optimize every strategy every single night, and you're presented with new ideas every day. So if I move over to my Omni AI, that really contains all 3 of the different AIs in one single view right here. And these are the signals that were called out today. It was kind of a mixed day, and when you look at the the action for the spiders, well, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's really not really picking a firm direction. It was kind of jigging back and forth. And, it made money if you were choosing shares. I think on a percentage basis, you would have lost a little bit. So it wasn't a great day in the AI, but it wasn't a terrible day either. With the AI, you do have the ability, like all of our other windows, to pull in history. If I wanted to see what happened yesterday, or even go back for, let's go back for a few days here. I'm sorry, today, and I'm going back for a few days, and I'll hit OK. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull from the server all the different AI signals that were called over those days. And if you expand the entry time, you're going to get the date on there as well, the date that it was generated. So we have a new channel. It's our Buzz channel. This looks at 75. I think there are a couple different symbol lists that it looks at, but these are 75 high cap stocks, and things are happening with these particular stocks. And these are off of symbol lists that we're populating this with. One of the things with Trade Ideas, we listen to every single stock every single tick of every stock in the market. So it can go ahead and scan the entire universe, or you can have it scan just a portfolio of stocks or a symbol list that you're looking at. And that's what's happening here. That's also happening on Barry's watch list. Barry is the moderator of our trading room. Let me just show you real quick how you would get there. Just go to trade ideas, and up at the top here, you've got trading room. So I highly recommend everybody check that out. I'm going to go into his channel right here, and his channel is another list-based type of workspace where he curates the different symbols that are going to be populating in here every night and every day. And so he's really managing that actively. So it's a little bit different. A lot of these other channels are really looking at the whole spectrum of stocks, and just based upon the filter criteria is delivering you ideas. So we've got a SPAC and a blank check channel. This is more of an obscure way of looking at IPOs. IPOs today, a lot of them are being driven through these acquisition corp companies, where you have a company that's a shell company that then gets acquired by another company, and they merge together. And that's how these companies are coming to market. So a lot of these, it's just the way the IPO game is going right now, and it's subject to change, of course. But there's always some great ideas being generated here on this SPAC blank check channel. A couple others, I won't hit them all. The EV related, so electric vehicles. Sometimes those are incredibly hot sector. It's an incredibly hot sector. Sometimes it's not. But if you find that those stocks are on the move, you can always come here and take a look at all of their counterparts. Another way you can do that is you can also go to the similar tab that we have on our single stock window, where it's going to give you, it's going to really look to the sub-industry group of the stock and bring you similar companies to that same sub-industry group. And then one that I really like is this experts only right here. This gives us a good illustration of how you can use our top list. Like our top list, they can be used to, let me just show you kind of a standard way you would do it. So if I go to gainers, maybe the top percentage gainers, right? And this is a standard way to use a list-based window. Got all, these are the biggest gainers for the day. But there's some other things that you can do with that that are a little bit more non-standard. For instance, I've got this biggest pullback on winners. So I've got winners, I've got these symbols in here, but what I'm doing is I'm sorting here on the change over 30 minutes, looking at the lowest, the least value here at the top. So now I've got stocks that are up big for the day. This guy right here is up 8%, an ammo company up 8%, but it had pulled back, 3.5% here over the last 30 minutes. And that's that pullback that you would see right there. So it's an interesting way to use a top list. So everything's not standard like you would see in a biggest gainers or biggest losers. You can really do some fun things with the top list. This volume radar is another great one. Let me actually show you the volume radar from the volume channel. So I'm going to go down to the very bottom at the volume channel. And in here, I should have a volume radar. That's a volume thrust window right here. And this is interesting because we do great analysis with volume at Trade Ideas. We break it down into the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the day. We know what the average 10-day, 30-day, and so when crazy volume starts to hit, we're in a great position to be able to deliver you those ideas right through these types of windows here, where we're looking at volume on all different time frames. So when we're connecting to the exchanges at our data center, like I said earlier, we listen to every single tick of every stock and we database all that. So we can give you, that information, that's basic information that you have, but at the same time of collecting that and databasing it, we're also creating new filters and creating new data. We call it metadata. And that could be something like relative volume. That's not anything that you get from the exchange. That's a baseline that we take and we tell you how it's doing right now. Another good example of that, if I go to my custom channel right here, this little window that's going to pop up in the middle, this is another good example of how we take this data and we do something special with it. And this example here is looking at today's range. So we know what normal range for the day. We know what the normal distance for every stock from its low of the day to its high of the day. You know, what's that average daily bar look like? But when that daily bar starts to really expand and get bigger, you know, like this guy right here, stuff is happening and it's in play. So it brings that to your attention. Right here, this window, while I'm looking at all these stocks that have a very large daily range today, I'm sorting it on the position in today's range. And so what I'm getting here is, where is that stock currently in relationship to its intraday high and low? So this guy right here, SGH, is pretty close to its high of the day. I think there's a little wick up here right before the market closed that is telling you it's not at its high, but it's really, really close. So if I was to then sort this right here on today's range percentage, now I'm going to bring in all the guys that have the largest range for the day. And this guy here just kind of had a failed run, but these guys are doing 4 times their normal size of that daily range. So a big range yesterday on the gap, and it had another big range today. So those are the channels. Another thing I want to show you guys before I get into Brokerage Plus, I want to talk a little bit about the odds maker. The odds maker is the component that you would use to backtest any strategy that you would create. And you can do that to put yourself in a position where you know the odds of that particular strategy when you're going to go ahead and execute a trade. And you don't know that it's going to be successful or not, but based upon the history, you can determine what is the likelihood that the same thing will happen. So let me give you a couple examples here. Let's go to my cloud. In my cloud, I've got just a simple strategy called breaking down. Let's open it up real quick just to see what it is we're looking at. So it's really nothing special. I'm looking for a crossing below support alert. And we keep these different support levels. And when that crosses, then something like this particular alert will trigger. And I'm only looking for stocks between $5.50, where the current volume, that's the relative volume, is at least 4 times normal, 400% of normal. So a pretty basic strategy, but looking for some volume. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click on any alert window. That's something with an A in the upper left-hand corner. You can backtest that. And this is our event-based backtesting tool. It's a little bit different than if you were to use something like TradeStation or a backtesting tool that looks at a single security like Apple or something and goes back 10 years and tells you the best way to trade it. That's not what this is. This is an event-based backtesting tool. So it's basically looking at your strategy and telling you how you would have done had you bought or sold, whatever instructions you tell it, every instance of an alert that's generated. And you follow the instructions that you put in here. So let's go through it real quick. I'm not going to trade the first 15 minutes of the market. We start here in California at 6:30. So I'm going to kind of sit on my hands for 15 minutes. I'm not going to trade. I'm not going to initiate a position in the last half hour. I'm going to hold it for 30 minutes. And I'm not going to do any profit target or any stop loss on it. And I'm going to test for 30 days, 30 trading days. And in this particular case, breaking down, we're going to sell it. We're going to kind of create a short strategy right here. And let's sell it and see how it performs. Normally when I do this, they don't come out very good. And I don't think this one's going to come out very good, but it's better than a 50-50 dice roll, it looks like. So yeah, it's this is our equity curve. This lets you know that if you started with 50,000, how you would have done over those 30 trading days, what you would have ended up with, both from a net and a gross perspective. And so this is net with commission right here, speculating that it's going to be 2 cents a share. And you could change that to whatever value you want, and this will update accordingly. So I'm just giving you the highlight. This isn't a great strategy, and I'm going to show you what a better strategy looks like, but just a couple of things that you see here. I've got a calendar heat map. This is looking at April right now, but I could go back and I could look at the previous months, and this color coded lets me know how I did. When I hover over a particular calendar date, it's giving me the indication over here of where that is and how that looks from an equity curve perspective. You could go ahead and drill into any of those days, and it's going to go ahead and give you the trades that occurred, entry, exit price, and what you would have made on it. Now, obviously, this strategy, I mean, let's look at the top here. The strategy has too many trades, 2,500 trades. Remember, I didn't have many filters in here, so I'm not culling it down very much, but it's got a ton of trades. It is like a kind of like a coin flip, just a little bit over 50% at 53%. My average winner is less than my average loser. I would never really want to do that in a strategy unless I got like maybe an 80% win rate or something like that. And it lets me know what the return is. Profit factor is the sum total of all my winning trades over the sum total of all my losing trades. So just we're kind of going through, the different tabs here and functionality of the odds maker. This is letting me know that what's my profit per day on this, how many trades per day, just too many trades, but that's okay. We're just kind of getting an understanding of it. What was my maximum drawdown? So a huge drawdown. I don't know that I would want any strategy pulling down 40% on this. And then what kind of buying power was required to trade $5,000 of each one of these stocks right here? I would have needed, what is that, $500,000, maybe a little bit more to have executed that particular strategy. So a lot is going on here. As you drill into some of the other ones, we've got a larger calendar heat map giving you some more data on there. The optimization tab, which is really where I spend the most of my time here on the odds maker. Price, where you can optimize what price of stocks you're trading, what time of day you're trading, initiating trades, and then all of the filters and trade ideas. This allows you to really do a deep dive into how the different filters affect the profitability of the strategy. So I'm not going to dive deep into this right here, but I do want to show you what a good strategy looks like. So let's close this and open up my cloud. Let's do the cracking support. And I used a little bit of our optimization through the odds maker to already do this one here. So let's go ahead and real quick go into configure. You're going to see that there are a lot more filters on this particular strategy, but I'm still using the crossing below support alert trigger. So now if we right click and we go back test, I'm going to go ahead and start 15 minutes after the open. I've done a little time refinement here. So we're going to stop trading at 10:30 or stop initiating positions. We're going to hold this until 10 minutes before the close. And I'm going to put in $1 stop. I'm not going to use a profit target. And I'm going to test for 61 days. Probably do more. And then I'm going to go ahead and just simulate it and see what happens here. So this is effectively what the AI is doing every day with every one of the strategies. There are about 65 different strategies right now that the AI is analyzing, and it's going through and it's running all these different iterations of a strategy, and it goes through and it looks at it and says, okay, well, what if I was to, we'll come back to this, but if, it looks at this optimization tab, and it doesn't look at the software, but it uses the same technique, goes into the other filters and says, okay, well, doesn't look like it was very effective when the RSI, the 1 minute RSI was over 48. So let's right click here and let's just set the max value of the RSI to 48. And this is how you would continue to refine the strategy. And so it just populates that in there for you, and you can hit OK if you want. And you continue to really refine it. And you go through all the different filters that we have, and you can just cycle through. This is in pretty good shape. You're not going to find a lot of anomalies, but if you found like all these guys were red down here, and this is what this is telling you is that, for instance, on the 15-minute range percentage, that means what's the range of that stock over a 15-minute period of time? Well, when it's larger like this, we've got some really good success. I mean, really, these are all good. Being a 50% winner here, that's okay. I lost a little bit. You're not going to win on every one of these categories. But let's say I wanted to look at 50 cents, and you can break that down, or 0.5% rather. You can break that down into other increments to decide whether you want to refine it even more. And that's the whole process that it goes through. So let's go back to the summary tab and look at how this really marketably improved from the one that we were looking at before. So we've got a profit factor of 9, and that's telling me that the sum total of the winning trades over the losing trades is a factor of 9. So 9 times winners over losers. That's pretty good. Only 75 trades in that sample set, so it becomes an executable strategy. Not too many trades are going to happen. Like for instance, on yesterday, there was only one trade. And you can go back and see exactly how that works. But another thing, you can go to daily right here, go to your trades per day, and you can see that on average, it's like 1 or 2 trades. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 or 5, but that's pretty much where it falls. A very, very implementable strategy right there. And then, you know, this metric right here, the average winner to loser, $1.81 to 75 cents. That's a pretty good win to loss ratio right there. And then it gives you the return. Buying power required. You know, I don't need as much to do this particular strategy because I'm only in 1 or 2 positions at a time, typically, and only at $5,000, just not that much. So it looks like the buying power required to do this whole strategy would have been just about $20,000. And it gives you that indication right here. And how much it was my drawdown? Not even a full percent. So those are pretty good metrics. And that's, you know, what a good strategy looks like compared to a bad strategy. Guys, I'm going to take just a quick second. I'm going to kind of look and kind of 30 minutes in, I'm going to take a look at some questions here and see if we have any.
I know that we had Joseph before wanted you to do the cylinders if you possibly could again. And other than that, I think we're kind of hitting on all the questions here. We do have
okay, perfect.
Jason has been asking some questions about, you know, some of maybe more of the advanced features of Brokerage Plus with linking multiple accounts and having those trade like that.
Awesome. Well, I'll get into that, Jason, and I'll pull up Brokerage Plus. And I'm not a big proponent of having multiple accounts connected at one time, but you know, some people at our firm are, and some traders certainly are. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, and I'll show you how you can do all that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop this strategy right here in the chat so that if you guys want it, this cracking support, it's a giveaway here today. So I'm going to go ahead and save it to the cloud. I think I already did. In fact, I made a change here and I don't really know what that change did. So let me just grab it from the cloud here and I'll share it. So it's going to give me this link right here. I'm going to copy it and I'm just going to drop it in the chat.
Also had a request for the climatic window.
All right, let me put that in as well.
And Bill would like the wide daily range window if we had that too.
I do.
Perfect. And then I'll load these all up so that if anybody else emails in later, I'll have them to send back out via email as well.
And the wide range bar. Excellent. So those are the 3 strategies that I was talking about. They're all right there in chat, and you guys can just grab that. The way it works is you can just copy the link, or if you click on it, I don't know if you're able to copy from the chat, but you can just grab this URL right here up at the top, and that's going to be your cloud link right there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Brokerage Plus. I think that's especially as we released E-Trade here today, probably good. And so Brokerage Plus, we do have TDA as well on the back burner. There are a few things that need to happen with that particular development effort, but that is still on go. It's just a month or 2 out from now, I would think. We have to do a little bit of programming to compensate for some things that are lacking in the API. And there's something that's lacking in the API for E-Trade, and I'll talk about that as we go through it. Let me go ahead and connect to E-Trade. So there's my lovely Facebook short position right here. The one thing, and it's just going to qualify it right now, the one thing that we found with this particular release right here is if you have any closed positions and you log out of Brokerage Plus and you log back in, those closed positions will not be viewable. That's not right now in the API. That's the application protocol that we're connecting with E-Trade. But one of the things that we are doing is we're going to mitigate that by having that in our database to be able to populate that back when you relog in. So it's just a short term that you're not going to have that there, but it's a closed position, so it's not something that you need to actively manage. If you do not disconnect, it's all going to be there and you're going to be fine. So in Brokerage Plus, this is really our interface to the market, being able to trade live. We do, for the last 18 years, we've had a tool called our external linking connector, and that allows you to click on a symbol here in Trade Ideas, and it'll update your brokerage application. It'll update the charts, something like eSignal or even Thinkorswim. This works where you just click on a symbol and everything updates there. Their order entry panel will update, and you can then make your trade. But for a couple of brokers right now, E-Trade and Interactive Brokers, we have this integration that allows you to send orders directly from the interface right here. And we can do it in a couple of different ways. So let's go, the first way is you can go ahead and right click on any symbol here, and you're presented through this trade option right here with a variety of different parameters, the different execution parameters that you want to implement. This is customizable to you. There may be some defaults in there, but through the Strategies tab inside of Brokerage Plus, this is where you would enter that information in. What's your share size? What type of order do you want to have presented when you do that right click right here? Similarly, on this particular tab right here, I've got a couple of columns, the default chart short and the default chart long. If I stretch that out, you'll see long. And essentially what we're doing here is we're assigning a strategy, a long strategy and a short one, to these buttons here up at the top. So that's your buy button and that's your sell button. So you can take those parameters, that would be the share quantity or dollar value that you're trading, maybe inclusive of a stop, and that'll populate. And I'll show you how to do that. We just need to find a good symbol here. This is a good one right here. Let's go ahead and take that. And this is my default long. I'm going to go ahead and change that. And we're just going to do, let's just say $1,000 at the market. And this is a little confusing. I'm not even going to, I'm going to explain it. So when you're going ahead and configuring the Strategies tab right here, you can determine how you want that order to be placed. Do you want to be placing a market order? Or do you want to place a limit order or a stop limit? But when you assign it to a button up at the top, this is always going to be giving you a limit order. So when you drag this button, when you drag this to a price point, that's going to be a limit buy, a stop limit, or something to that effect. So let me show you how that works. So let me just change my dollar amount so I'm not trading too much here. And let's just hit OK. And I'm going to grab this here. I think I need to do something else, huh? Edit trading strategy. I need to assign the account. All right, so now let's do that. So now what it did is it put my opening order stop. So this is when this price here, which is right now at 1274, rises up to 1361. I'm going to enter into that position at that price, and this reducing order stop will become active and effective. So now essentially just by doing that, I'm telling it where I want to buy the stock, and I'm automatically putting in my stop at the low of the day. And so if I right click and I edit that trading strategy and I go to my risk management, you're going to see here my stop loss is a filter above the low, and that essentially is letting me know how many pennies from the low I am, and that's giving me my stop price. So it really does bundle that entire action for you, letting you go ahead and put that opening order as well as your stop, so all done at one time. And then of course the best way, not the best way, but probably the most intuitive way is using the order entry panel down at the bottom here. And you can go ahead and select a limit price or do a market. If you come here, you can use your scroll wheel to refine that. You can change your share quantity. Again, you can use your scroll wheel to refine that. Got to make sure that you're transacting in the right account that you want to transact in. You can put a stop price and send that order just like that. Now let's go into something like Facebook right here and pull that up. And I've got 5 shares short, but let's say I want to put a stop and I don't want to stay in this thing when it goes above, say, 315. I can just right click on here and I can add a stop order. And let's just say I put that in at 315. So now I have my closing order stop right here. It'll let me know that on that 5 shares that I'm short, if it crosses this particular threshold right here, I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to cover my short, and I'm going to be losing $10 in the process. And I could take this and I can move it, say, up to here. Lets me know that I would be losing $36 in the process. So it kind of gives you that heads up display right here when you're putting your orders out there. And you could do the same thing for a target order. So if I go back into Brokerage Plus and I right click and I say I want to add a target order, maybe that target order is, I don't want to put it too low, I want to see it. So let's make it 310. Let's go ahead and add that. And now I've got my target order letting me know that I'll make $14 on that trade, big numbers. And you can take this and maybe my target really should be down here because that's where it's going to go. So that's that. So there are a lot of different tabs here in Brokerage Plus, and you can work this window in a couple of different ways. You can do the tab view like I have. I kind of like that because it's a little bit easier on my screen real estate. But if I wanted to, I could go into this window option here and I could open up, one of these different views. Let's open up the performance view. So while that's coming in, and we're still working on this, this is one of the newer tabs, but this is giving you some detail on how you performed. Right now, it's just looking to the simulated trading, and I haven't even gotten to that yet because really before you ever go live, I would highly recommend that you dabble in the simulated. So if I disconnect right here and I connect and I go into simulated, now it's going to load up my simulated positions that I have. And you can see how that's going. And it's the same thing, everything works the same way. You can right click on a position, you can add your stop, add a target order, add a time stop. Maybe I want to get out of this here in 30 minutes, no matter what. Well, I can put that time stop in there. Gives you that equity curve, lets you know kind of how you've done today, starting from the beginning of the day. So I started off on this one probably maybe down $100 or so, and it just continued to kind of bleed throughout the day. Looks like GameStop is probably the biggest loser of that, but still hanging in there, still doing pretty good. I'm not going to give you your GameStop update. We'll save that for next week when Dan gets back. He's still in all of his and doesn't plan on getting out. Probably going to ride it to 0 or 1 million, whichever one it goes to first. Oh, all right. What do we got going on here? I'm going to continue just because I have a feeling it has something to do with the performance window. That's exactly what it has to do with. Get that out of there. All right, so let's take a look at a few other things that we have. This calendar tab right here is giving me a view. Right now, again, it's specifically looking at the simulated account, but letting me know how I've done here looking at the month. And I could drill back into the previous month and take a look at what happened then with each and individual day. And I could drill into any day that I wanted to. This brings up, let's take a nice day where we made some money, 93 trades. That was a busy day. This one was only 5. So I can double click here on the calendar date, and it's going to go ahead and bring in these 5 different trades. I could expand it and we can take a look. And this is my portfolio for the day. These are the stocks that I was holding. And these right here were the trades that I made. So it gives you all that data right here. So, and we're going to be creating some other portals for you to really analyze that, and as well as bringing in the other forms of data that we have rather than just simulated. All your order data is right here. If there's ever a problem with your order, this error reason is going to let you know exactly what happened with that order. Executions, those are the executions. Little summary, some messages. your account value. Now this right here, the Holly AI tab allows you to use Brokerage Plus and automate the Holly signals that are coming in. I'm not a big auto guy with Holly, but some people are, and it really, you have the ability to really set some criteria up. You know, it's not like you're just going to turn on Holly and it's going to go. You actually have to tell it what you want it to do, how much you want to risk, what type of conservative, do you want to try to hold it to the end of the day, or do you want to, you know, play the conservative mode with the timed exits? How do you want to enter into the positions? Do you want to do it with a limit delta, or a market order? So you do the market, you're always going to get into every trade, but if you do a limit and a limit delta, you know, if that stock is moving fast and it never retraces back, you may not get in. You know, at the same time, you may be overpaying for stock if everything is using a limit delta on an aggressive mode. So different ways and different decisions you have to make when embarking on this auto trading. And so in doing so, you can go ahead and you can turn on just the long accounts if you want. You could selectively turn on just the strategies that you want, and you just right click and you just enable those particular strategies. And once you enable it, you have to tell it, like I said, what you want it to do in here, and you have to make sure that you set the account, whichever one you're using. And maybe if you're connected to your live account and simulated, you're going to have access to both of those right there. The time in force, how long you're going to keep that order out there. And like I said, that whether it's a limit or a limit delta. You can also, through the strategies tab right here, if I wanted to like auto trade a particular strategy, let's go here and let's go to something like, all right, so I've got the strategy in this particular account. So I could come here and I could automate a strategy that I created, not an AI one, but one that I built. So I could go ahead and load from cloud, and I could take this cracking support that we just built or that we went through earlier, and I could load it, and I could add it to the existing strategies right here, and essentially come in, right click, edit it, tell it how I want it to trade, what account I want it to go in, when do I want to trade it. I'm just going to leave it exactly the way that it was set up when I did my odds maker. You do set it up for 5,000, and we'll set it up for a market order. We'll leave a dollar stop on here, and we'll try to hold it to the end of the day, kind of like we went through earlier. And then all you need to do is right click, and you just click to enable. So now this guy's on. You can see the strategy is on, and it's after market, so nothing's going to happen. But I could just sit here in my position view, and as symbols are appearing in that window, they're going to appear here as well. And they're going to get out at the end of the day or be stopped out, you know, however I have it configured and set up.
Brad, I had Jason was asking, you know, why you weren't a fan of simultaneous multiple accounts, you know, performance issue, network communication. I was going to answer him a little bit here in the chat.
None of the above for me. For me, it's just about making sure that you trade in the right account. When I'm on simulator, like Dan, he likes to do both. He likes to have a strategy running, look at it, and what have you. When I like to be on simulator when I'm on simulator, and I like to be live when I'm live. That way I don't accidentally put a simulated trade in my live account and vice versa. You know, think I'm long this great trade, and next thing you know, it's in my simulated account. That's a very disappointing endeavor right there. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, we love what we do here. Like Chris, I mean, we're all traders. We're not just sitting here making software. This was born out of a necessity. You know, we created this because we wanted to use it ourselves, and you know, things just progressed a lot more than our own trading. This became, you know, something that was really a viable tool for a market much greater than ourselves. And like I said, we really love what we do, and we don't see a finish line here. We're continuing to innovate, continuing to develop. You know, new functionality is being added all the time. Our pipeline is incredibly deep. I mean, we've got functionality that we're going to be adding, you know, multiple years in. So yeah, the future looks really good here. Yeah, that's right. So Paul, let me see here. Yeah, I mean, interactive brokers, they also have a paper trading mechanism. That's one thing, but I think that, if you understand the simulated mode within Trade Ideas, you're not going to have any problem transitioning into the live mode. There's not really a nuance to interactive brokers or a nuance to E-Trade. If you know how to use the software, it's going to translate very well to both of those. Mm-hmm. All righty, so let me, this will be the time, guys, to throw me some questions before I bring back a little presentation and kind of wrap it up. Yeah, I know, Bill, sorry, there's only one cylinder score per window, but what you can do, I mean, let me show you what you can do. If you go to a top list, for instance, and we bring in something in volume, let's go relative volume leaders, let's hit OK. Let's bring in the cylinder score. Change it to change from the close. So both of these here, one was percent, one was dollar. It's not going to matter which one you use. They're both going to give you the same ratio here. What you could do is you could right click and you could duplicate. You could then have that guy down below. What would you use here? I don't even know what value you would use here, but you could have something like that and you could have two cylinder scores. That is a dirty workaround. Yeah, so Jason, the running up and running down, they're not going to really work post-market, but they are looking at a 1 minute time frame, and they're looking at really what's the normal movement of a stock on that 1 minute time frame. And when that threshold gets exceeded, then it's a candidate for the running up alert. And let me show you what you can do. If I just hit alert window and I type running up now, I select it and then hit help. It'll take you to our massive behemoth help page that has all of our alerts and filters in it. And you could read some more detail on it. I don't know if you've already done that and maybe it wasn't detailed enough for you, but we try to do a pretty good job. Sometimes we leave a few things off. So there are a couple ways to get rid of the ETFs. There's one way, which is a symbol list. And I don't know if I have it visible here, but I can go. We've got sector ETF. I don't think that's what I want. Let's see here. Yeah, ETFs. This is what I want. So I would select the ETFs, and then I would exclude the following list. I would find the list that I just added. And so I would exclude it. That's one way. If all the ETFs aren't updated to the moment in time, then there might be a few stragglers through there. Another thing you can do is ETFs don't have earnings. So you could always right click, go to configure, and type in earnings. And that would be earnings per share. And we would add the filter, and we could do a couple things here. We could, you could do something, you could do anything where you're excluding, it could be negative 1,000. You could put 1,000 here. You could also do bookended filters where you're looking at anything lower than 0 and anything greater than 0, but not 0. So different ways you can use the earnings EPS filter to do that. So if I was to assemble a Momo scanner, what I would do is I would scroll down and I would go to our Momo Momentum channel. All right, let's go ahead and go anyway. So on here, so I think that, this right here happens to be a really nice momentum window. We're using a multi-strategy approach to it, and we're breaking it down into a variety of different categories for it. Here's another momentum window. You can see how we built those. That's the first thing I would do. Yeah. Still waiting for bar charts, huh, Bill? Okay. We have some incredible things that are happening with our charts right now. We just embarked upon a project exclusively for our charts, and there are going to be a lot of things that are happening in pretty short order there. I'm pretty sure that bar charts will be part of that. All right, guys, one last call here.
I don't know if you had seen, David asked something about being connected with E-Trade and on their website at the same time. I think maybe he's like referencing what happens with IB and Trader Workstation if you're logged on their web portal and it kicks you from Trader Workstation, maybe? Is that what he's
Yeah,
looking for?
I was logged into the E-Trade web portal as well as Brokerage Plus, so you can be logged in simultaneous. And I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not sure about IB. It does kick you off, Chris?
Yeah, if you can't access IB's data from two places at once, so they'll kick you from it. So if you're in TWS and you log into the web portal or the phone app, you're getting kicked out and you'll lose your data in Brokerage Plus from it.
Interesting. Well, I've been logged in with Trader Workstation all the time when using IB. So I don't know. Yeah, and we do, Waleed, we do offer one-on-one training, and it is $139 an hour, as Barry mentioned. We do have numerous webinars that we do, from an education perspective. I know that there's a breakout session every day in Barry's trading room. I mean, first of all, the trading room is a great way to glean some information, but there's a breakout session for an hour, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 9 Pacific time to 10. And that is purely interactive questions on strategy setup, any questions that you guys have with real data running, during the market, that would be the time to get those questions answered. So I would recommend that as well. All right, guys, let's see if I can find the presentation. So we were very fortunate to be recognized for the 4th time by Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies around, and we definitely expect to be there for the 5th time this year. So we're really excited about that. I meant to do this early on. Dan was kind of going over his 401k last time, and I wanted to kind of show you, this is a little peek into mine right here. And I have 3 different funds in my 401k. I've got a chunk that's for the self-directed. That's where I have full control over the positions that are in it. I've got a gold fund, and I've got, one of those funds where they say, okay, when do you want to retire? You have no idea what's going on with it, but if I want to retire in a few years, then that's the one that I would pick, and that's the return that I've had. This is started for analysis sake because the self-directed brokerage account was opened in July. So I kind of just did some analysis from the middle of last year, through today, or yesterday rather, and you can kind of see the breakout. This is a pretty good return for any type of fund, so that's good stuff. That's pretty poor to mediocre, 2%. But when you're really in control of your own money and you have an idea of what to do with it, when you have tools like Trade Ideas, you don't need to be connected to Principal through Brokerage Plus to use the tools that Trade Ideas has to offer to make yourself aware of some potential positions to be in. And, that really does provide you a much greater opportunity to increase your wealth by having control over it, rather than having it sit in some black box fund somewhere where you really don't know what's happening, and they tell you at the end of the year, end of the month, what your return is on that. So just kind of to follow along with our theme from last QA webinar, I wanted to show you mine. And I know that if I was to ask a number of other people at our firm, they would find this particular section right here, their self-directed section, definitely will outpace the rest of their funds that they have. So this is the trading room. This is what you get to from our homepage up at that top. This is a look inside of the trading room. So Barry's sharing his screen all day long. He's talking and talking and talking and giving some really good advice, but not just from him, but from a group of traders that occupy that room. So there's a lot of great sharing that occurs there and a little bit of training at the same time. So I recommend you guys all take a look at it. It may not be for everybody, but you should just pop in. It's free, so take a look. We do have a new ebook. Just found out about this last week, and our CIO has been moonlighting writing books. He's a very intelligent guy. I wouldn't hesitate to glean some information out of this because he's one of our top boys here at Trade Ideas. This was a daily support session that I was alluding to earlier. It's a breakout session from Barry's trading room, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. It goes for an hour. I was listening to it today for a little bit, and Michael Noss was presenting, and it's all great information. So if you have any questions and you don't want it to be answered via email through our info@trade-ideas, go here and get your questions answered. We are a software as a service. We're a subscription service. So we do charge by the month or by the year. We're breaking it down here by the day to show you that it's such a reasonable fee to pay for all the information that you're getting.
And there's a snafu there. We didn't update that slide to the old one, but I can slide the correct one right in. And if you refresh, it'll have the correct code opportunity.
Scott, your one job. Are we done? No. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Still says Easter Bunny.
I think you have to unshare and share again.
Unshare.
Unless you're still on that slide, move the correct slide up, so you're probably still on that slide. Just go to one more down. There you go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So our promo code is not Easter Bunny. Don't type in Easter Bunny.
That expired.
Type in opportunity. And you're gonna get 15% off either your first month or your first year, whichever you decide you want to do. We do a podcast. I don't think it's every Friday, but just check your podcast search engine for something coming from Trade Ideas. They're always very entertaining, a little less structured than some of our other presentations. And we've updated the slide here. All right, excellent. So we are very, very reachable. We are reachable through social media, through Twitter, at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, at TI Steve G. That's a new account for poor Steve. And we are reachable through Facebook. If anybody still uses Facebook, then you can go to facebook.com/Trade Ideas Pro. There's our phone number. The best way to get a hold of us is through our email, info@trade-ideas.com. You can also reach us through chat on our homepage. But guys, thank you very much. Barry, thank you. Chris, thank you. Scott, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Yeah, that just about covers it for today. Everyone, keep an eye out for an email tomorrow with a link to the replay if you decide you want to watch it again. And thanks all. Thank you, Brad and Chris and Barry.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.